Hello, everybody. So today is testimony number 9 of 12 days of testifying to God's goodness and His miracle working power. So I hope you've been enjoying the testimonies. I pray that they've been blessing your spirit. I've been receiving numerous messages daily, and it does my soul good to know that out of my obedience, people are being blessed. So that means God gets the glory, and that's what it's all about. So day 9, or testimony number 9, like I say at the beginning of every testimony, if you have not heard testimonies 1 through 8, I encourage you to go back and listen to the testimonies of how God has worked miraculously in my life on numerous occasions. And I think some people who know me have been surprised, and they're like, oh my gosh, like it seemed like it was a lot of incidents and, things that have occurred in your life. And, some of us, unfortunately do go through a lot of trials, but I just want to say that God has always been there. He's never left me nor forsaken me. And He has honored His word. Even when I lost my boys, that was tragic. People say, well, how can you find hope and joy in that? And the joy lies in His word. The hope lies in the promises of His word. It doesn't mean that you don't, go through sadness and devastation. My gosh, I said that was the worst time of my life. But it was what I did that helped me get through it, which was praying and fasting and reading and praising, and most importantly, just worshiping the Lord. So I never know what I'm going to share. These aren't pre-planned nor prepped. I just grab the phone and I say, okay, God, speak to my heart, speak to my mind. And so I'm just getting in. It's been a long day. I am getting better. Each day I'm getting better. So thanks to you all who've been praying for me. It's still hard for me after I talk for a little while. I have to swallow and all of that. So I'm sorry because my throat has been still a little sore and raspy. But I'm doing better. So thank you for your prayers. Today, for testimony number 9, I wanted to share a time in my life where I needed Him for many things. And actually, it was during the time that my son Joshua was born. And so I shared with you how Joshua is a miracle and how he was born. Go back and read and listen to the other testimonies. But I also shared how there was many elements to the story of Joshua. I even talked about how I was really, really ill after the narcotics they had given me for pain meds and how it affected my body afterwards. But 3 weeks before I had Joshua, my husband lost his job of 19 years. Which was our primary source of income. I started a nonprofit organization and a school, Noah Christian Academy, in honor and memory of my boys who are deceased. I was still teaching in the public school system when I started it, but it just overtook me, and it was something that I really was passionate about, and I wanted to work to build the school, and I resigned from teaching. So as a nonprofit organization and as a small private school, we have tuition, but we offer tuition assistance to the majority of our students. So we get enough to pretty much, cover our expenses. So myself and my staff primarily work on a volunteer basis, meaning we don't receive a salary. We just get like a monthly stipend, like love gifts. So when my husband lost his job, our primary source of income was his job, with me, running my school and trying to build a school. So this was 3 weeks before I was about to have Joshua. So here we are, pregnant. You need insurance, and you're getting ready to have a fresh new baby in the house. And also we had a son who I have not mentioned to you all yet, but he was one of my former students that we took in when he was 12. And we raised him and left him as our own. Soon as he came into our house, he became my son. You cannot tell me that I did not birth him. His mom may say that, but I love her too. But he needed, to be in a different environment. And so we raised him. He's 23 now. And he was getting ready to graduate and go to college. So here we are. We have a senior in high school. We had our daughter who was 6, and I'm pregnant with Joshua, and he loses his job. So I actually was not concerned. I know that may sound crazy, but I know that his job was really stressing him out. And I felt like the Lord had prepared me. And I even told him earlier that year, I said, you're not going to be in that job past this summer. And he was like, like, I need this job. But I just knew it was just something in me. So I wasn't stressed. I wasn't worried. He was. And as a man and a provider, I understand. But I was like, God's going to take care of us. Well, a few weeks later, we found out that my cousin, who was also more like a brother to me, and my husband's close friend, almost best friend, really, was murdered. And while we were trying to wrap our minds around that news, which really was devastating, it rained really, really badly here in Roanoke, and it flooded, and our basement was getting water in it. The power had gone out. Our sump pump wasn't working, so we were trying to take care of that. So he's lost his job. We just found out that my cousin was murdered, and I'm pregnant. I'm high risk, and now we have water in our basement. And we have a finished basement, a full finished basement. Our son, Devontae, stayed downstairs. All his clothes, his room was downstairs. This is where I am now. I'm downstairs. You can see that it's a finished basement. We have our tree and everything. This is just a portion of it, but we were trying to take care of all of that. Well, we finally, were able to get, the water and everything out, and we had to deal with just trying to wrap our minds around my cousin being murdered and just getting through that, and me being able to prepare for the amnio, which was on July the 8th. And the day I delivered Joshua was July the 9th, and that was the day they buried my cousin. So my husband and I did not get to attend the service, which was very hard for us. It took me a while to really accept his death, with him being murdered and me not actually witnessing and seeing a body. It took me a while. So we gave birth to Joshua, and Joshua really was the best thing that had happened, in those few weeks. And we both just travailed and cried and broke down, because our family was, at a funeral while I'm giving birth to my son, which was a miracle. So it was a bittersweet moment. But then a few weeks later, of course, I was hospitalized, and I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks. And when I was discharged on, I think it was July the 19th when I was released, my grandmother was really ill. She had taken ill, and she practically raised most of us. We loved our grandma. There's nobody like grandma. And she passed. I had gotten released from the hospital, and I had rested a couple of days, and I called my uncle and said I wanted to come see her. I wanted to bring Joshua, and he was like, she's not at a place where she's even going to probably know that you're here. He said, you need to just find your peace. So that was really devastating for me. The good thing, well, I guess, I don't know if it's really good, but I was able to spend time with her prior to me going in to deliver. When my cousin had passed, I had spent a lot of days out there with my grandmother. So, that helped me a little bit. But the fact that I didn't get to take my son and, let him be in her arms really bothered me. So she had passed. So in that time span, June 14th was the day my husband lost his job. July the 3rd was when my cousin's body was found. July 9th, I delivered, and they buried him. July 24th, my grandmother passed. And while I was in the hospital, having Joshua, it rained again, and it flooded, and we weren't able to get to our house because I, was having him, and everything was destroyed. So we lost everything downstairs, from our TV, our furniture, the bedroom furniture that we had, just everything. Devontae's clothes, everything was floating in water. So he lost his job. My cousin, brother, best friend of my husband, was murdered. I had a baby. That was the plus. Our house flooded. We lost everything. And then my grandmother passed. And all of this was really with our house flooding and my cousin being murdered and him losing a job was in 3 weeks. But all of it together was in about 5 to 6 weeks time. I think about 5 weeks time. And so that was very devastating. So you got to think, you lose your cousin, brother, with first cousin, more like a brother. You lose everything in your house. You have a baby postpartum, and you're sick, you're in the hospital, and then you lose your grandmother, and your husband lost his job. So, but what I want to say is that God blessed us. He kept us. I thought I was going to lose my mind. My birthday was July the 30th, and my grandmother's service was the next day, the 31st. And I literally cried and laid in the bed the entire day and just travailed and cried and cried and cried and cried. My birthday. I turned 38. And I didn't know what else to do. I was grieving my cousin. I was trying to be happy and joyful about the blessing God had given me. I was grieving my grandmother, and then thinking about, everything that we had lost in our home, even though it was tangible items. It was just a lot to take all of that in at one time. So, but God kept me and he sustained me. And here I am today, here to talk to you about it. So, I know a lot of people right now have been going through a lot of loss. And they're like, I lost this person, I lost that person, and my friend, and even my family. We suffered a lot of loss just last year and this year. And so I know, but we had it was a back-to-back, boom, 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 within weeks. And I just want to tell you that God will be there for you. The Bible says that when we know not what to pray, that the Spirit of the Lord makes intercession for us. And I know that there were times when I did not know what to pray, and God was interceding for me and on my behalf. And he kept us. He sustained us. We had our rough moments, but we lived through it and we made it. So if you were enduring loss, if you've endured significant loss, if you feel like it's been back to back, don't lose hope. Just trust and believe and know that God is still there. He is still standing there. He is still holding you in the palm of his hand. He's loving you. He knows your pain. Just stay encouraged and don't give up. Don't give up. Don't quit. Just rely on him. And when you don't know what else to do, just lay there and cry out to the Lord, because when we surrender solely to him, that's when he can really come in and heal us and bind up our broken hearts and piece them back together. And he did that for me. At that time, I was like, I didn't think I was going to survive it. And God knew all those things were going to happen. And what did he do? He blessed us with our precious miracle, Joshua, which was the best thing that came out of that season and actually out of those weeks. So God knows everything. And so I just wanted to share that. There's another part to that I will probably be sharing for testimony number 10. As I feel, led. But I just wanted to say, God bless you all. Thank you for taking the time to watch these testimonies. They are for you, but they have been blessing my soul as I'm reminding myself of all the good things God has done for me. So God bless you. Good night.